Hello, everybody. It's Friday. It's not the usual time that we're off on a Friday, but we are actually recording live today. So, hello, everyone. We decided to do a more of a lunchtime after beverages special today for you all. Well, it's actually the only time that we could all get together, so that's why we're doing it. You've been training this week, have you not?
I have,
Marianne?
yeah.
How was that?
Very, very good. I did a week. Well, it was a bit strange. We did it over 2 weeks, which confused me slightly because I did a Wednesday and a Monday and a Tuesday, which threw me a bit because it's day one teaching last week, and then day two, and then the micro teachers. So I was teaching. I think I've got their role right here. They're social work practitioner, practice educators. So they are social workers who work and educate the social workers. So people that they're ones that are doing apprenticeships. They're at university. They're working. They're employed by the local authority. They go to university and they are educated by these individuals.
I love that.
So they're already doing the role, but the local authority finally decided that if they're in that role, they should have that training and that qualification.
Cool. And the overall kind of feedback from the week?
Excellent. And the word I actually had, which I thought was a brilliant one, I mean, empower was one of the biggest things, particularly because quite often, as we sort of know with local authorities, people can't do things because they're told you shouldn't do this, you oughtn't to do that. That's not the way we do it. That's not corporate enough. But they feel now that as they've got that behind them, and it wasn't just about having the training for them, it was about actually having the qualification as well, actually. And one of the ones that I haven't heard before is somebody saying that they will go and do what they do with intention now.
Intention. It's a great word. Oh, fantastic.
I thought that's great. That's one of those moments where I think when you work with your handbrake on, and it's like knowing, yes, I am right. So yeah,
it was so important. So important. And we've been talking a little bit, or you've been talking a little bit about that on LinkedIn lately, which is, so many people out there talk about imposter syndrome and the fact that they can't necessarily, or they don't feel like they're necessarily equipped in the situations that they need to, or they find themselves in work. And yet, actually, how often is that? And I'm not saying that in all cases this is the case, but in so many situations, it's just a case of they haven't been empowered to be able to do what it is that they're doing.
If any of us were doing a job, if you're doing any job where you haven't been shown or trained, to get back around to that word again, you're not gonna, you're kind of gonna do it thinking maybe I'm doing it right, but I'm not 100% sure. So you're never going to do it with as much intention because you kind of breathe a sigh of relief each time it doesn't go wrong, probably.
Yeah, I know about that. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, I sneakily got a job at a radio station because I lied and said that I could do editing. I couldn't do editing, but I was very fortunate because they trained me. And suddenly I was empowered to do the job. And then I could do the job really well. We are going to bring in our special guest for today, who has been twitching in the background with her curtains to make sure that she looks super for all of you. So let's welcome Jenny Blake. Hello.
Hi. I'm not sure if I've got the lighting right, actually, to be seen at all, but I'm here, even if it's just the audio. How are you doing, you two?
We're fine. Thank you very much for asking. Jenny, for people that have never met you before, but maybe have seen you around on the social medias, do explain a little bit about who you are.
Well, I have a training business at the moment. I have been working on that business for 4 years, and I deliver training around wellbeing, emotional intelligence, resilience as one part. And I also deliver core skills training to support workers. So things that support workers need in their role, like safeguarding or professional boundaries or person-centered support, that kind of thing. But I am pivoting this year, and I'm going to start offering retreats. So I'm going to be working with individuals, offering wellness retreats in lovely places. Yeah.
Ah, have you got any of those places found yet?
I have. I've got the first
Okay.
one booked in November. Yeah, so we'll be having a gorgeous weekend in Sussex.
Right.
Yeah, with a lovely little centre that's on the cliff top, so we'll be able to go for walks along the cliffs and have a look at the sea. And yeah, it's lovely, really nice.
Lovely. I'm surprised you didn't pick Somerset as your first outing.
Are you a little bit biased? Why Somerset?
I listen. I just feel like the West Country never gets enough of this kind of activity.
Yeah,
You know.
I will be. I'm sure I will be there at some point. It is gorgeous.
Yeah. It's a little bit. I look. I have to fight for the West Country now that I live down here.
Yeah.
You know, it took me some convincing to come here in the first place, but now that I'm here, I have to fight for it. It's the same when I'm talking to musicians. I often say, why don't you then come further south and play here? You know, because they all do sort of Manchester and Liverpool and Birmingham and London and whatever. And you go, yeah, but or even up north now.
What about Bristol? Surely they go to Bristol. All the musicians hang out in Bristol.
There's still a lack of gigs even in Bristol, actually, compared with, you know, but certainly then to get them to places like Exeter and and Plymouth and whatever. No.
Where did you move there from, Graham? Were you in London ever? Or
Mars.
To Somerset from Mars. What a journey!
It was certainly much warmer. On Mars. No. I moved from just north of London.
Oh, okay, yeah. And where were you, Marianne?
Gloucester. Well, I'm between Gloucester and Cheltenham, near where the cheese roll place is, where they chuck the cheese down the hill.
Nice. Okay, so lots of cheese in your area.
Yeah. and they also have one of the best service stations, although you do have to have an absolute you have to be minted, in order to go there. But they do have one of the best service stations.
I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere. I'm between lots of places.
Okay.
But not far from the service station.
I'm about 5 minutes from the service station.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like this is a conversation for another time. Details about the service station might be required.
It's nice.
Well, it's
brass on the,
supposedly it's so if you imagine, do you remember the Teletubbies?
Yes.
Right.
Like
so if you imagine the Teletubbies home,
yes, with the grass all the way,
where the grass it looks like that. So they've buried
it and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, they've kind of buried most of it, and
like eco-friendly.
It's very eco-friendly. It's got a wildlife area out the back,
nice,
with a pond, and there's ducks that go, that
lovely,
kind of frequent, and there's also a walk between the northbound and the southbound one. Through fields, through fields and things, and then across a little bridge.
I didn't know that.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
although you have to walk back if you've left your car.
Obviously. Yeah.
But that's very good for you because, when you stop at a service station, you need to do all of that sort of thing. So you're pivoting. Cool. I haven't heard that word for a long time, not since sort of COVID really.
Yeah. I love a pivot, me. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to still continue delivering training, so that will always be part of my offer. But I just want to, I guess it's an expansion more than anything. I want to expand my offer. I qualified as a burnout coach last year, so I want to really look at more stress management and burnout coaching in particular. And with my retreats, I'll just be working with women. I shouldn't say but I'm going to limit who I work with. So I'm really going to be working with female business owners. So, really kind of busy women who have got a lot on their plates, juggling lots, and who need some time out for themselves.
Yeah. Now, really interestingly, and we'll pick up on that little bit of topic, because you mentioned the word resilience. Mm-hmm. And you also talk about wellbeing, but I've literally just come off another podcast.
Oh yeah.
And in the middle of that podcast, I went and looked up some stats for time off in business due to stress across Europe.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right, and where do you think the UK comes on that?
In terms of countries side by side, oh, I think would be pretty high, to be honest, because I think that we probably have less progressive policies and procedures in place around taking care of people's well-being. That's my guess.
Marianne, any guesses on that?
Probably the same. I think we sort of we keep going and keep, step up and keep going, I think the older generation very much are as well.
Yeah.
When you hear them talk about younger generation now, they haven't got any staying power and stuff.
Well, here's the interesting thing. Because of the stiff upper, I believe it is because of the stiff upper lip. Maybe people are so resilient in this country. You see,
not that high. I bet.
Back to that, we're actually near the bottom.
I was going to say that originally.
We are right near the bottom.
Wow.
The only countries that we've got below us are countries like Malta, Bulgaria, and other such countries where the pace of life is very, very slow.
Yeah.
And the temperature's lovely. And
which helps, right?
It's sunny most of the time, and they have beaches everywhere.
Wow.
So
I reckon people just jack their jobs in. From coming from a teaching background, people keep going and going and going and going, and because they feel bad, I think quite often, depending on what sector you work in, I know with teachers they feel bad because they don't want to, but it's actually more stressful not going into work when you're a teacher because of everything that you have to deal with afterwards. But from experience, what you see is keep going and going and going, and then they just leave the whole bit.
Well, this is why I brought it up, because I thought I found the whole thing quite fascinating.
Actually. So it's saying that we in this country are amongst the least stressed. Is that what that's saying?
Yeah. Look, I'm actually gonna. Twice in a row I've done this, but I will do it again. Here we go. I'm actually going to share you.
Is it all?
This. Look at this. Now this was under the stress area, right?
Yes.
Right, but we are right down.
Yeah.
Where are we? United Kingdom. We're kind of here.
Okay, kind of just under middle. Percentage of workers suffering a work-related health
problem. Yeah, but this came under the stress area, and it's Poland right at the top there.
Luxembourg, Sweden. Teachers on there, I'm sure. Okay, work.
That's so interesting.
It is really interesting. There we are. Yeah. Now I need to come off that because that's got nothing to do with anything. Right, but that was quite interesting. And I just wonder, so with this resilience thing, do you think people misunderstand what resilience is one of the things that I was going to say there, because do you think people see resilience as just keep going?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it. So people do tend to think it means that it's the ability to just push through, like literally just keep going in the face of whatever, and that isn't what it is at all. Resilience is about the ability to bounce back, and if you're bouncing back, that implies that there's been a break or a downward point, right? So it's acknowledging that there may be challenges, that it's acknowledging that there may be real difficult times or adversities, and we may need to stop whatever we're doing, might need to stop work, we might need to leave jobs, we might need to do other things, and then be able to bounce back perhaps afterwards. And I'm going to add something else to this. I think resilience is also about our ability to be flexible and to change our approach or to adapt when we are faced with those difficult situations. So I think that people that lack resilience, or actually let's word this in a different way, people who kind of get really fixated on doing something in a certain way, or it must go like this is the plan and we must stick to it again, no matter the cost, they are the people that are most likely to have less resilience, if you like, because when that plan invariably fails, then what do? They don't know what else to do at that point, because they've been so fixated on it being a particular way. So I think there's something in here about flexibility and adaptability and being able to move with it. And if the plan changes, great, the plan changes, we can adapt, we can keep moving. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, it does make sense. We quite often have conversations about tech, don't we, Marianne? And I have conversations all the time in the house as well with people about tech, because tech breaks, right?
Yeah.
Or it just doesn't work, right? But I don't get stressed about that when tech doesn't work, because I just assume that it's going to not work.
Yeah.
But, you know, other people get stressed when tech doesn't work.
This week, actually, one of the ladies, she hurt her back, so she couldn't come in on the second day. So, which obviously is a problem if you're doing it in-house, but it wasn't a problem, although it was a problem, because they said, it's all right, we've got Teams, we can do it via Teams. They had everything set up and it was beautiful. It should have been great, but the issue we had was that she couldn't see my slides. And even though I'm not great at that sort of thing, and I don't use Teams really anyway, you don't have to swear, Graham, they couldn't even do it. So we did try. It just meant in the end that I was like an hour and 3/4 behind. I did finish like only a bit over in the end, over my time. But yeah, it's, do I assume, I don't know, like this morning, I was just thinking just how much everything is done with tech. So as I'm going up the stairs at the gym to Pilates, which is part of the reason why we had to have this now, because I put myself first. It's my one thing I do in the week. As I'm going upstairs, my gym instructor said, shoot me now. And I said, oh, no, don't. I said, because there's nobody to take the class. And then when we got in the room, she said, I've left my phone at home, I think. Well, I think it's at home. I don't know where it is. She said, I haven't got any music now. So I said, all right. I said, do you want to use my phone? So I linked up to everything and we put some music on and it was all good. But it did show how we just, like, everything's done. And then she said, I'm just thinking now, my mum's going to call me. I don't actually know if my phone is at home. So that was going to be on her mind. I don't know if it is at home. My mum's going to call me. She won't be able to get hold of me now, which will worry her. And she said, now I'm thinking, if it's not there, where is it? And all the things that come with that.
Yeah.
So I don't actually use a huge amount of tech in my training, because I always think, is it going to go? I use it if it's necessary.
You're raising really interesting points. Did either of you see those programs? I think it was over a year ago now, probably maybe 2. When you get to my age, you can't remember how long it was since.
I'm not far off it, Graham, so.
But it was to do with a load of people. They took a load of people from everyday life and they got them to go and stay with the Amish for a period in a Amish farmhouse and go back to a very simplistic off-grid kind of way of life. And God, did people struggle with getting away from their tech, you know?
But then we're going to, though, aren't we? Because the world's set up like, I mean, the problem is, it's like, I had a go, not I'd go, but I was just saying, my son, I said, oh God, he's on that VR, and it's not really their fault. It's not really any of our fault, is it? Because it's what I said to Sarah this morning at the gym. I said, you know what, sometimes you think, I'd really love not to be around my phone, but I need it to get into the gym. I need it for this. I need it for that. And then I was saying, I wonder what the statistics would be for, I kind of want to say, like, what men having their phones, or dads and mums, but also males and females. Because I know that I have heard, like I said, I'm not being sexist here, it's what I've heard, saying, no, I don't need it, switch it off. But mums will generally go, I need to have my phone on, because I know for my son, if he can't get hold of me, it will stress him out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, now we've got it, we can't unhave it.
And there's this wider question then of when it doesn't work. So going back to your example, Graham, if it doesn't work, like the people that are getting the most stressed out by it not working, are we saying that they are maybe lacking resilience in that area? And the people that can cope with not having the phone or not having the tech work or whatever, like, are we saying that's a demonstration of being more resilient then? Because you're like, well, okay, I mean, Marianne, that was a good example for you to, when did you say that training session was? Earlier in the week, whenever,
Yeah.
you know, she wasn't present, you've tried to do around, I mean, it didn't really work, but you tried.
We did with the micro teach. Yeah, we did with the micro teach, we did. And then we were trying to work out, then how we were going to do it, because she missed day 2. And I said, it's up to you whether you do it or not. You're a trainer anyway. I said, I'm going to leave it with you. And she said, actually, I will do it. Then she had to go to the chiropractor. So then I was trying to work out all sorts of stuff, but we did do it, and we recorded their sessions. And but yeah, you try your best, don't you?
But that shows resilience in your role. So there's different types of resilience, right? And what you did was show some kind of flexibility and adaptability, rather than going, oh no, well, you just can't join in because you're not here. So that's it. That's the end of it. Like, you were like, well, let's figure out a workaround. Let's see what we can do. And I think that's what we're kind of looking for, that people have that ability to go, oh, well, there's a challenge in my path, but we'll figure out a different way around this somehow, you know, whatever that looks like.
I think
sometimes it won't.
I think some people's, from my experience with them this week, and other people that I've experienced, is that a lot of people's fear is it not being perfect.
Yeah,
that's the fear, is about the not being perfect bit. And so I'm just, that part of what I try and teach them is to just be. So this morning it was like, Sarah's really lovely, everybody likes Sarah, and I jumped in and helped her. And so if you're nice, people will help you.
Yes.
And they don't care whether it's perfect.
No.
Literally, I don't think people
care. You know that mantra, I probably post it all over LinkedIn all the time, but my mantra at the moment is done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. Seriously.
It's the biggest mistake that most business owners make.
Yeah, thinking
everything. I have so many conversations about, we'll start that when it's here and it's at this level and whatever, and it's like, no, you need to start it now.
Yeah.
Why? But it's not ready. But
it's never
ultimately it will never be ready. And if you don't start it now, you're gonna miss out, because everybody else is gonna go first.
I think you have to work carefully with people though when you're saying that, because when it is an actual, particularly with people that are neurodivergent, it really is like,
it's hard. It's hard.
That's why I think you have to sort of, when some people say just start, it's like that word just is like massive. Huge. And it's like breaking it down into the just. You have to break it down to something.
I think for me, it's breaking it down so that we know, so that we recognise that waiting for it to be perfect is this massive form of procrastination, and potentially you'll never get it started if you think that it's all got to be lined up exactly, perfectly. So there's something in there about going, okay, what would happen if we did, X, Y, or Z to get it going? And it might not be perfect, but it will give you some feedback, and you can develop it. I've just started posting on Instagram, which is not my platform at all. Like I'm like a fish out of water over there. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what the algorithm needs from me, all of that. And I've recorded some reels. What does that even mean anyway? So I've recorded some reels, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, and some of the sound is a bit sketchy, and like I couldn't work out the captions, but I just thought I've got to do it, because if I don't do it, I'm never going to get started over here. So I did it. I've put the first one out, and with each reel that I record and put out there in the world, it's improving. It's getting better and better. So yeah, there's something in that mantra. Done is better than perfect.
I love Instagram.
Do you?
Yeah, I love Instagram.
Help me.
I'm gonna say this now. I actually really love lots of platforms for different reasons. No, I do, for different reasons.
For different reasons. That's exactly it. I was reading something at 5 this morning, I think, of the different ones, and people are saying that Facebook's dead in the water. Is it? I'm on it. I'm not dead. I didn't think I was, but
it's because all the young people aren't using it.
That every platform's got something to it, right?
Yeah.
First. By the way, Jenny, you'll get used to this. On this show, we go woo all over the place and back again, right?
We'll jump off on some tangents.
Yeah. But when it comes to platforms, I think the first thing is that that everybody assumes is that a platform's not necessarily for me. It's not necessarily. I don't like that platform because there are people on that platform that say this and say that. I'll tell you right now, there are really, really bad people on every single platform, and there are really, really great people on every single platform.
Just like
so when people go, oh, I don't like X, I find it's really divisive, and people say, it's very political, and people say the wrong thing on there. I find that on LinkedIn
everywhere.
Find it everywhere, right? So I'm not. I honestly don't believe that. So firstly, you build your network, right? You choose to build your network, and who you choose to build your network with on any platform will determine what you hear and what's around you.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if it's a shorter form of content like X or Instagram or whatever, then I think you have to be. I think on those platforms you have to be more careful about who you build into your network, right? Because the conversation will always be short form, right? And when we truncate conversation, and we make it shorter, you lose context. As you truncate it, you lose context.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you broaden it out, so when you get to something like LinkedIn, I think you can broaden your network because you can develop the conversation more on those platforms. And therefore, I think on a platform like LinkedIn, you should be able to bring pretty much anybody into your network. Now, as Marianne and you may know this as well, we've had lots of conversations recently about how people sanitize their network on LinkedIn. I'm totally against it. I'm no bones. On LinkedIn, I want to 100% be challenged. I don't want everybody to agree with me. I do not want a tribe of people who are sheep on LinkedIn, right? Because I feel there should be a space there for people to have intelligent adult conversation and to learn, right? And maybe that's part of my resilience as well, which is that I openly want to be challenged, right? As opposed to feeling that, everybody's got to like me. I don't care.
Yeah, although isn't there a way of being challenged that is kind of good and a way of being challenged that isn't? That's the only way I can view it, is kind of good and bad, because there's a way of being challenged which is personal or kind of name calling or kind of just
but even those people, I just tell them that I love them and they soon go away. I just think, look, I just think that we've got so used to in society just going, oh, I'm being bullied, I'm just going to go and hide over here. Actually, if you turn around and go, I love you. Yeah. You just thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. Even if they're like calling me names and whatever else, they tend to get embarrassed at that point and then go off.
I mean, the great thing about LinkedIn as well is that even if somebody is bullying you or saying horrible things, if it's on your post, then all of their audience is still getting to see you, right? They're still getting
somebody said, why did you argue, whatever the point it was? And I said, because nobody's gonna. I said I did it purposely. Yeah. Because I wanted it seen that that was that. I saw a post. I woke up early this morning and it was a post. I see a lot of the American stuff actually when you wake up at that time before anybody's touched anything. It's great because you get to see stuff. But anyway, I don't think this was. It was a supercar. It was a company and they'd built a car for. I didn't realize who she was. Blue, was it that lady? The lady that did things with lots of men.
Oh, her, yes.
I didn't really understand what it was to begin with. Right. But it was a really interesting post actually, because it really showed quite a lot of true colours for people, male and female actually. So anyway, it was talking about the car that they made for her and blah 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 blah. I didn't really twig who she was to begin with. I just thought, Christ, she's got legs that were like that long. That was really more than anything what I was thinking. And the comments on there that were saying to this bloke that he shouldn't have been posting it because it's got her name attached to it, blah, 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 blah. And it was really interesting reading it through. And there was quite a few things I did agree with in there, which was that I think it was like who we sell to has nothing to do with what we are selling, if you know what I mean, in terms of what quality their product is. But, maybe it was divisive to have put it on there. Maybe it wasn't. Who knows? But it was really interesting to have seen the comments, and really, people really do show their true colours, like on there. I mean, I know for me that I've learned to think about how I know for me, before I was diagnosed, I would probably just sort of sound off, whereas now I probably sit back and think actually, about it. I know for me, actually, this morning I was going to put a post on to say, can some people share some nice stuff, please? Because I'm pretty much a bit sick of LinkedIn now, to be quite honest, because it's either political stuff or satire or sarcasm, of which I have to use AI to tell me what it actually is most of the time, so I don't understand it. And just people just going at each other. Even there was one about World Book Day yesterday, and people saying they should ban it. And I said, but why can't we just have it if people want it? Yeah. And if people do, my children didn't have World Book Day, but I would never rob the kids that actually wearing a costume makes something that they might find difficult.
Also, Marianne, this is about people posting things that are deliberately like controversial, and it did make me think when you were talking about this guy in the car, it's like, you know what, it doesn't really matter what anybody's opinion is, because the fact is it sounds like there was a huge debate going on in this guy's comments, and so he achieved his goal, right? Because he got loads of engagement. It's almost like it doesn't matter if you're right, because the end goal is engagement, and he got it. So hey,
and I think he was kind of at the top. He's doing well enough, better words, to be able to. And I think I saw somebody else post it, a guy saying something. I don't like really what I've seen from this guy, and I think sometimes the advice that's given from some people, and Graham knows, we've talked about this, the advice that some people will say about how to behave, carry yourself when you're marketing yourself. I put a post on about the swearing thing the other day, is that some people can carry that off, some people can't. If you're going to put stuff out there, you've then got to be able to deal with that. And Graham and I have had comments before, and I sort of got upset once because of something, and because it was misunderstood what I was trying to say, and somebody kept going for me, and knowing full well that I'd explained that's not what it was about. So I think, as you say, it depends on the way that they want to, and some people want to attack you and some people want to take you down. That's just their sort of thing. But I think when people have made it, whatever made it is, it's a lot easier to be a lot opinionated and put posts like that guy had on. I can't really be doing with any of it, really.
It's a tactic though, isn't it? It is an actual tactic to write controversial posts, or to write things that will divide opinions, because you know that it's going to get I don't know if I feel entirely comfortable. I think I may have written some controversial things accidentally without planning them to be, just because there's something that I really believe in strongly. But I don't think I've ever set out to go, right, let's think of a dividing kind of opinion and like do something controversial.
I know full stop. I could actually get much better traction on LinkedIn tomorrow.
Yeah.
I could absolutely go viral on Instagram tomorrow if I wanted to. But I don't want to.
What would you do, Graham, to go viral on Instagram? Now that's a whole new topic of discussion.
All right. Well, okay. Well, let's go into this. A couple of little things. So go on. First of all, if we go back to LinkedIn, you mentioned America waking up and all of that. There's a reason why I post every morning at around between 7 o'clock, 7:30. Right? It's because I actually catch the end of America and then the beginning of the UK. That is purpose. That is the time to post. If you're going to develop an American stroke UK audience, you need to be posting about that sort of time. There you go. I've told everyone now. You're all going to post at the same sort of time. So that's done. That's not done my figures any good for that, has it? But right, let's go back to getting big traction. If I wanted to go big on LinkedIn, I would be arguing with people.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to deliberately make people think. Right? And in thinking, the way I look at it is that there's a lack of, full stop, proper journalism out there. And what I always wanted to achieve on any of the platforms that I'm on is getting back to proper journalism. Now, when I learned to be a journalist many years ago, I did my diploma in broadcast journalism. I was taught by people that said, this is a noble, right? Because it was back then. This is a noble profession, and it was all about putting both sides of the story out there and then letting the reader decide or the audience decide. So what I do is try and challenge people to see both sides of the story, right? If you wanted to really go big, what you would do is you would take one side and you would really stick your colours to the mast and go, I'm going to upset people, right? Because once you upset people, people will comment and they will engage. So you've either got to make everybody love you or make everybody hate you.
Yes. I feel like we should kind of come up with some ideas between the three of us of topics that we could use on LinkedIn that would do that. Like the harmless ones, but that would make people either hate us or love us.
It is, because I put one on that went not viral, but it for me went viral, Graham. Remember the one that was where I was upset about something and I'd had a terrible week, you know, and sometimes I still think maybe I should, because I'm having a terrible time at the moment. But then I think, do I want to use that? Some of it just, I feel like now it's got to the point on LinkedIn, I read through things. Again, I said to Graham the other day, you know, I lost my dad to suicide. I've had lots of dreadful things happen, and I just feel like I don't really want to use them. But I feel like now I'm not actually learning much about people's businesses. As soon as I open LinkedIn, I'm like, that's your children, that's your this. And I think I actually started reading something about marine biology last night. It came into it was someone's newsletter, and I was like, I'm learning something here. Because so often now, I'm not saying that I don't care about the person behind the businesses, but I'm not actually seeing their businesses. Because it's just so much.
That's really interesting, Marianne, because, you know, people say, the marketing people say, you buy a person, not the business anyway. You buy into them, like, not the product, not the business. You're buying into them. And that's the whole point behind personal branding, that you're showing up and showing yourself, because people will buy you. But it is interesting what you're saying, because there is obviously a need for some kind of balance so that people can see what you are actually doing.
I'm
like
what
you are actually selling.
Do you know what? This is really, really interesting, because I can tell you, I have seen, for example, posts by people that do same sort of thing as me, do like copywriting and social media marketing, whatever, where they've posted about being crap at writing or being crap at being social media, and everyone's loved it, and they like gained traction because of that. And you think, you're not using your brains.
Yeah, but is it them or is it other people not using their brain? Because
no, it's not them that's not using their brains. It's other people.
I mean, I now just feel like I look on LinkedIn, and actually more often than not now I get bored and go onto Facebook now, to be quite honest, because I have cleared out my Facebook and it's a nice place to be, because it just feels like with the World Book Day one, lots of people were just being very sort of sweary and very, you know, like this about it. And they were saying, oh, what the heck's a book got to do, a costume got to do with a book? And I said, but for some children, it will be the thing that brings it alive for them. And if one day a year can do that. And I said, you know, the schools generally will discourage people from buying expensive costumes. I said, you know, my son's school, they said, just wear a dressing gown if you're dressed as a shepherd or whatever. But the funny thing about it was, I was probably the only person that said, actually, well, I sat on the fence, but it was more of a sort of like, well, actually, and this is me on lots of things, just take it or leave it. You don't have to shout about everything. And you know what? There was no comment back to mine because it was boring. The person that wrote it didn't really react because, and I'm finding that now, whenever I look on things I comment on, you just sit or stand there going, hello, because it's not interesting, is it? When I think what it is, there's so much controversy, and I'm just a bit tired of it. I'm a 49-year-old woman, nearly, who just doesn't want that. I'm just like, you do what you. Why do you all have to shout and argue with each other?
Yeah,
that's literally where I feel.
I mean, going back to Jenny's question, conversations that which would blow up if you put them on LinkedIn tomorrow, right? Would be things like,
Jenny, we're going to see
either.
Shall I take notes, Graham?
Yeah, sure. Like either like everybody's got ADHD.
Oh, that would be a good one.
Or nobody's got ADHD.
Oh, that would be a topical. Oh God, people would kick off.
Of course they would. Of course they would.
It would be an interesting debate.
Or
is it
or really, or
step away from your
or really divisive, women are neurodivergent, men are just lazy.
Marianne, I dare you to post that.
I love dares. Whoops.
Graham, how did you think of those just off the top of your head?
Because it's, do you know what? I could sit and honestly come up with that all day long.
You could sell those, by the way. That could be a business service that you sell controversial topics for people to write about on LinkedIn.
My worry with it always is, and when the particular happened a long time ago that sparked off my profile picture, was is doing something. Like, I'm not a safe person, but I sort of am. I've got better with it because I have got more resilient, because I am now, like, and I say to the people I train, stand by whatever you do. If you're you and you can stand by it, the same as when you're doing care work, so long as you can stand by, people want to be told how to do it. And I say, no, I can give you the tools. It's the same as the social workers were saying. A lot of people want to be told how to do it in terms of that sort of role. And it's like, well, you can't really tell people how to do it. You can give them the tools and they have to get a feel for it. But my fear often is, like with that, was whether it could damage me. And
I think it can damage you. I think it can. I think you either have to accept that you're going to live within that world and inhabit that world with whatever comes at you within that, and be strong in that, knowing that, let's talk about Trump for a minute.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's a really great example.
It is.
Do we think Trump meant everything that he said when he was sat at that table with Zelensky? Or do we think he was playing a game? Right? Or does it actually matter? Right? The narrative that he played out there got him what he wanted.
True.
Right? That
you asking us a question?
I don't think we need to. I don't think we need to know those the answers to these questions or not. But what I'm saying is, you can see there somebody that knows how to play that game, but he's comfortable playing that game and playing that role. I was
going to say, Jenny, I think you and I, I don't think could, particularly because of what we do as well. It just doesn't feel very comfortable. So my swearing
doesn't feel safe, actually.
Well, my swearing one the other day was what I was, for me, I know that I can swear. I love swearing. It's great. I love using big words, but I also love swearing too, because it just says it sometimes. But I do see quite a trend with people swearing in their like profile bit, in that bit, and in their posts, but it feels as if it's to give, like, to really drive home the point. And I think I do a pretty good job, as do you, of, like, and then when I feel like I'm in a group and it might be okay to swear, then I will save it for then. But equally, because the same as you, I'm trying to appeal to, maybe that's the difference, kind of anyone, like any big organization, local authority, individual. And so it's quite an art then, and I think you do it, I do it, to show who we are through how do you see what I mean? And it's almost like someone said to me the other day, but it's about like doing what you do and having a little twinkle in your eye to show that you can be like that, but actually I'm also very like this.
Yeah.
And I don't think I want to take myself down a road, but so be like that with someone like that with Trump, it makes me feel sick. The whole idea that people manipulate people like that, I don't really like it, personally.
I want to ask Jenny. I want to ask Jenny. Right. So you want to get big on Instagram.
Yeah.
Right. Do you want to go the quick route or the long route?
Well, it depends what I'd have to do it the quick route, because I'd want the quick route, but if that means I'm going to have to sell my soul, then I'd rather take the long route.
Okay, so I'll tell you what. I'll tell you very quickly what the quick route is, and for all the people that I can see watching, this is the quick route to go massive overnight on Instagram, right? So, Jenny, tell me.
I'm literally going to write this down.
Yeah. Jenny,
yes.
What is it that you want to talk about on Instagram?
I want to talk about women who are spinning all the plates and how much they need to give themselves some time off for themselves. I want to speak to women who are focusing so much on everything and everyone else that they're not really focusing on themselves so much. And I want to tell them that they can focus on themselves, and I want to tell them that it's not so hard and difficult to do that. There are small little things that we can do to give ourselves that time, and it will make a big difference.
Okay. So can we write down women?
Yep.
And spinning plates.
Yep.
And time is important.
Yep, it is,
as well. Right. Okay. So here's the thing. If you want to get big on Instagram, right, what I'm going to ask you a second question and then we're going to answer it. What do you think is the kind of content you need to be putting out on Instagram?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I think it is probably content that in some way shows that what I offer is addressing those pain points of having to spin all the plates and not have any time. But I don't really know like how I best do that.
Okay, right. Well, I'm going to disappoint you now. So the answer is, it's whatever you think your content needs to be.
Right.
Right. Is not what you should make.
Oh God.
Right.
No,
the answer is whatever is your audience are already watching.
Right.
That's the content you need to make.
But at some point, how do they get to know? Because I know when we went to Kate's thing, and that was talked about.
Yeah.
For me, as somebody that's like, for me in the end, I'm like, but how does everybody know then?
Right.
What Jenny
So
does,
this is the right. We're going to get back to the whole thing here. I'm going to educate everybody on the art of social media. Right. So the thing is, there are two ways. There are two roads you can go by, but in the long run, your stairway lies on the whispering wind, is what Led Zeppelin said. Right.
Social media lessons from Led Zeppelin.
But the point is that you can the two routes are, you can either just grow a massive profile and a massive following, and then once you've done that, you start to focus in on, because you've got the numbers there, on your message, and therefore, you know, like Jesus taught many years ago, right? If you throw lots of seed down, right, some of it will hit good ground, right?
Yeah.
But think about the parable of the sower, right? What did that teach you?
I have no idea.
The alternative is that actually you focus on making sure that you throw good seed into good soil, which means that you narrow what you're doing, And actually, it doesn't matter if only 1 or 2 get in there. That's going to, that's going to grow.
Yes.
Right. So you can either go that route, or you
Yeah.
can just scatter lots and hope
Yeah.
that 1 or 2 come up. Right.
Yeah. But
So
that's wasting energy then.
not necessarily, because you have got money in the bank if you've got a big following. Right.
Yeah.
That gives you other options.
So Jenny and I are doing it the right way, talking about what we do. It seems odd to not talk. I mean, I do the odd not talking, like the odd.
I think with what you're doing, what you're doing is you're trying to build, what you've got to consider all the time is you're trying to build brand, right? And if your brand is built on, if your brand is built upon, integrity, and it's built on what the words that come out of your mouth, you're doing it the right way, right? So if you were to try doing it the quick way, what you would be looking for at the moment would be memes of naked women spinning plates, right?
Yeah.
With probably some dogs in there somewhere as well, which are getting millions of hits, and you would remake those. Can't copy it. You'd remake those.
Yes.
Right. Don't know where you're going to get the dogs or the naked women from, or the plates, but you would remake those and put them out there, and you would make them exactly the same way as other people would make them, with the same cuts and everything, and you would get lots of views on them.
Right.
But it's not going to get you. Is that not, like, for me? I know that people have said to me that they've seen the things that I say and the podcast and my posts, the same as you, Jenny, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then that's what they're buying. They're buying what they see there.
Yeah. Now,
because
if you want to do it the right way, right? You want to do it the right way. The thing is, have the conversations that you need. Start the conversations that you need to start on your platform, right? But think about who can amplify your conversation. Right, that's the thing, and think about who can actually help you promote that conversation as well. So if you're doing retreats, for example, right, could you do collaborative content with the places where you're doing the retreats, because they've already got a network? Right? So you bring them in as a collaborator, do it together. Literally go to the retreat beforehand. The place where you're going to do it, go round the retreat, this is where we're going to have the retreat, here's the people that are running the retreat, get them involved, because then you'll bring them in, it's a collaborative piece. They will put it out on, you'll put it out as a collaborative Instagram reel, which means it will go out on their platform and on your platform, and you start to get part of their network.
Right? Definitely.
That's the way to do it.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, I think all of it takes longer, but it eventually, because I think all of this, in all honesty, I start seeing who's commenting on people's stuff, and it's all the same people commenting very shallow.
Shallow comments. It's not great. It's not great engagement.
It's just proper shallow comments, and whilst I feel like throwing the towel in quite often, and I get flashbacks from at school because I'm not in the in crowds, I have to keep thinking, but you show up
quality,
with integrity to do what you do, and I think you have to consider what sectors you're in, as like the same as what you do, Jenny. If you want people to take you seriously, I've got a sense of humour, you've got a sense of humour, but I've also need people to see that I'm more than that.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I've been thinking about a lot lately is just the idea that we may have all the followers on LinkedIn or on Instagram for that matter, but unless they're actually engaging with you in any other way, they're not really yours. You could lose those platforms. Like, you could be shadow banned on LinkedIn, or you could lose, Instagram. People blocked on Instagram all the time. They're hacked, aren't they? Like, you could lose all of those people. So unless you've actually got their email addresses, unless they are actually like...
Well, do you know what, Jenny?
Do they actually buy from you?
Well,
Jenny,
go on, Graham.
I'm so pleased you mentioned that, because it's a great segue into our final flurry today, which is also to promote the community.
There you go. Yeah.
So the other thing is, and all marketers will tell you this, 2025 is the year of the community.
Oh,
right?
interesting.
Okay, so all these social media platforms are wonderful, and people may feel like they are growing their community on these social media platforms, but you're not. What you're doing is you're an active part of that community, but they're not your community. So with that in mind, we have actually built the A Better Way of Life community. And what we're doing in there as well is we are inviting people in, and we are encouraging them to build their community within the community as well. Right? Because ultimately, you need to build your community off of social media as well, right? Because it is about creating activity, right? When people just look at your post, I mean, actually, let's go back to LinkedIn finally for today. You see that big number up there, and it's impressions. That doesn't even mean people have actually looked and read your post that's gone out. It's just the amount of people that LinkedIn has shown that to, right? Your comments and the comments and the likes show you who's actually engaged with it. Half the people on LinkedIn are just lurkers. They won't even press any of those buttons, right? The ones that just like it haven't probably even read it. My polls in the morning have shown over 5 years that I've been doing it now, every single morning, that most people do not read the post.
Yeah.
Right? They don't.
Yeah.
So quite often I've done it where the post says something completely different to the poll, and people have just voted on it, and they've gone like, pancakes, and I'm going like, yeah, but it's about marketing. And they're like, what? It's about marketing. It's not about, you haven't read the post, have you? No. There you go. So we know that people don't, so what you're trying to look for is you're trying to get activity from your market or potential market, right? So until you actually bring them into a community or a space, and you're actually having a proper conversation, and you're probably getting them engaged in walking with you, you've done nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you've done absolutely nothing, which is why we are now starting to build a community, and we're starting to help people build the resources that they need to build their business in that community. And unlike certain other communities that are available, which just make one person rich, ours doesn't. It makes everybody rich, because we even profit share the community.
That's really good.
It's so much better.
It is.
So much better.
Well, it's like now we've got a training, like the training area. So when I'm teaching people now, part of the package they get is 3 months to go into there where they can ask questions.
You could do that as well, Jenny. You could come in and you could have a training bit.
Yes.
Where you can support your trainers and you can build them up, and they can get access to the rest of the community at the same time. It's a marvelous thing. It's why it's social media done properly.
What platform do you use to host the community?
Heartbeat.
Oh, right, okay.
Have you been on it before?
I haven't, no.
Oh, right. You sign up, come in. It's free. It's free to try, folks. You can come and try it for 7 days anyway.
And then it's really expensive at £10 a month.
Really expensive at £10. At the amazing amount of £10 a month, it's just so much more expensive than all of these other ones where you're buying people's houses, their tattoos, and their dogs. But there you go.
Well, actually, it's even less than that, because then when say you, Jenny, came in, and then you recommend somebody else to come in, actually.
If you invite two people in, it will then cost you nothing.
Amazing. That's great. Yeah, that is great. That is a pyramid scheme done right. That is.
It's not a pyramid scheme. It's a community.
I'm joking.
It's an absolute community. Right, we have to go because it's nearly that time, and we have to keep it there. But
lovely to see you both.
It's been lovely to see you. I don't know whether we've completely discussed anything on this show today, but we
We
have
should get
discussed
Jenny back on to talk about that's more stuff.
Oh, we had a nice chat though. Thanks, Marianne.
everything. We've discussed everything that actually mattered on a Friday, and that's why
my
it's a great.
dog joined in as well. My dog joined in as well. She sat on the floor now. She did make an appearance on Sunday.
My dog's not here to show his face, but for those that want to know what my dog looks like, there you go.
Oh, so cute.
He actually looks like that in real life.
You've got 5 seconds.
No, it's absolutely fine. It'll be fine.
Oh.
Folks, I hope you've enjoyed today. It's been chaotic. It's been mad. It's been wonderful. We've had a great guest in Jenny Blake today. If you want to know more about the community, if you want to know more about how you can get on this podcast as well and come and talk stuff on a Friday with us, please just get in touch. We want to be a voice for those people that don't necessarily get a voice as well. So if you think, oh, no one's asking me to be on the podcast, come and ask us, because we will get you on the podcast. Yeah, okay. We want to encourage everybody out there to have a better way of life. Yeah. We will see you next Friday, same time. Yeah, look at that merchandise.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
Same time, same place. Next week.
Nice.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Bye.